Hi, I'm Allison Massey, and this is my persuasive speech on starting school later. We are all, unfortunately, familiar with the sound of our alarm clocks. The harsh sounds of the machine alerts us that it is time to start our day. Time for the stress that accompanies school, work, taking care of the kids, etc. Now just imagine you're a grumpy teenager, far more prone to sleep deficiency related problems than a full-grown adult is. Now your alarm clock sounds even more irritating. School starting so early causes a number of illnesses and problems, both physical and mental, to affect adolescents. The only way to fix this problem is to push back school hours a little later in the day. Teens' skewed sleep patterns can be explained by circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms are a natural homeostasis process designed to balance sleep with wakefulness. It acts as a sort of sleep bank. The longer you go without sleep, the drowsier you're going to feel. Adults' circadian rhythms make them feel sleepy at about 9 p.m. and the feeling lasts until about 7 or 8 a.m. Teens' rhythms make it very hard to fall asleep before 11 p.m., which makes their waking hours fall somewhat later than adults'. Since the average amount of sleep an adolescent must get is 9 or more hours. School hours, of course, do not adhere to this natural rule. The problem is enormous in scope, as a number of research projects tell us. Studies done in the Adolescent Journal say that 8% of high school students get enough sleep per night. 10% of those polled sleep for 6 hours, 23% sleep only 5 hours. In the academic journal Sleep, studies show that 24% of teens polled suffer from depression and 20% consider harming themselves. These statistics are unacceptable and show just how wrong our priorities are in today's society. Sleep deprivation is known for causing many health problems in adolescents. It is known to lower the human growth hormone levels in the brain, which causes depression and anxiety and also affects the way you develop mentally. It diminishes the hormone levels ghrelin and leptin, both chemicals that affect your appetite. This research suggests that obesity, a top killer in our country, may be caused by the enormous strain sleep deprivation puts on the human body. Research also shows that the blood-to-glucose level was altered, specifically in young men, contributing to diabetes-like symptoms. Diabetes, too, has become an enormous problem in our country today. These statistics show that by putting sleep in a priority spot on our national agendas, major epidemics can be combated on a larger scale. Lack of sleep also gives you more mundane illnesses, such as upset stomachs and headaches. This is your body trying to tell you what it needs, and by starting school so late, we are ignoring these warning signs. But the problem is what teens do to try to stay awake. They have to drink caffeinated drinks, coffee, soda, Red Bull, you name it. Adolescents have been known to turn to drug use, such as Adderall or amphetamines, both of which are known to kill over time. The drug problem, too, in this nation has been a cause of major widespread concern and can be solved by something as simple as more sleep. Adolescents can also learn to rely on technological stimuli to keep them awake and alert. Things like TVs, cell phones, and social media. This explains why our age group is often called the mechanical generation. We respond more and more to technology instead of natural stimuli. But there are ways to fix the problem. A school in Edina, Minnesota changed its starting time from 7:25 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and saw a 10% increase in SAT scores. The National Sleep Foundation found that delaying the starting time of school increases not only the teens' health, but their productivity during school. By getting more sleep, more work can be done during waking hours. For instance, let's say a teenager gets 9 hours of sleep one night. The next day, a full 8 hours can be devoted to active learning. Now let's say he or she gets 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night. Now, only 4 or 5 hours of the day can be put to use. Life for modern teens is hard, and a lack of sleep only adds to the problem. When we wake up at 6 a.m., our bodies tell us it's still the middle of the night. In order to safeguard the health and sanity of today's teenagers, society must put their safety over the academic productivity and push for school to start later. By accomplishing this, common issues that adolescents face today would be greatly reduced. It is time to put an end to the tyranny of the alarm clock and let good sleep once again. Oh! And now I have a little video explaining circadian rhythms.
Your internal clock regulates everything you do, which is why it's too bad that it needs to be rewound so much.
And this video will be available so that you can see it closer up.
Anthony here for D News, and you know that you have an internal clock. You get tired around the same time every day. You wake up around the same time. You have a basic idea of how much time is passing without having to check. Your biological clock is this precision timepiece in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. It's made up of 20,000 neurons that control all the other timing mechanisms of your body. Your sleep cycle, metabolism, hormone production, even cell division. There are 1,440 minutes in a day, and the SCN counts them with only a 1 to 2% margin of error and keeps it running smoothly. It's called the circadian rhythm. So these 20,000 neurons are working together. They have to be able to stay in sync, right? And that takes constant work from a neurotransmitter chemical called GABA. The SCN also takes clues from outside stimuli, particularly sunlight, because we're diurnal animals. As the sun starts rising later or the days get longer, your clock slowly adjusts to make sure that you're set up to be active at the right parts of the day. Now, the downside is that the internal clock is delicate. It doesn't respond well to big changes in your routine or in nature. A sudden upset to your circadian rhythm can cause your hormone regulation to be out of sync, as well as your wake-sleep patterns and your times of peak productivity. That's why we're so affected by things like daylight savings time and jet lag. But subtler things can throw you off. And a long-term problem with your internal clock can cause serious health issues. For instance, a study conducted by Northwestern University showed that if your school or office doesn't get enough daylight, you will wind up getting about 45 minutes less sleep a night than people who work in a well-lit building, and the sleep is lower quality overall. And another study from Harvard showed that working just one night shift can impair your glucose tolerance, and in the long term, that can lead to obesity and even type 2 diabetes. Some people have a biological clock that's off to begin with. Somewhere between 7 and 16% of children and teenagers have delayed sleep phase disorder. People with DSPD can't get to bed before 2 or 3 a.m., and nothing gets them up on time. It's different than insomnia because you can get to sleep and it's around the same time every night. It's a full sleep cycle, it's just shifted. It goes away for most people in adulthood, but it can continue, especially in people with ADHD, and research points toward them being genetically linked. A few treatments can be used to reset your internal clock. Phototherapy involves either actively staying out in the sun longer in the early hours of the day or getting a special light that can replace it. Avoiding bright screens or electronics at night can help your clock know when it's time to wind down. Doctors can also help, obviously, with sleep medication. I had crazy DSPD when I was a kid, and I still fight with it a lot now. How about you? How's your internal clock running, Internet? Let me know, and subscribe for more D News.
Thank you.